Good morning, Highview. Hey, I am right ready to go and I have my coffee in my Yeti mug, keeps it warm. And I am so I'm excited that we get to talk about Proverbs. Wow. Thank you for letting me join you in this discussion of Proverbs this morning. And I have jumped into a particularly cool subject, and the subject or title of what we're going to jump into this morning is Wine, Women, and Wealth. All right, three engaging topics, and particularly looking to draw wisdom from the polar Proverbs. Now, that's not polar ice bear things, but polar directional Proverbs. And we'll get to that in a minute. Wine, women, and wealth. Well, one of the reasons I love the Proverbs, you got to love the Proverbs. But one of the reasons I love the Proverbs is because they're so practical. But they're also so integral within all cultures. One of my favorite Proverbs is this one. It's a Malay proverb, and it goes like this: a tree with strong roots laughs at storms. That's a good one. A tree with strong roots laughs at storms. Well, each culture has its own proverbs. Our Canadian culture, and more broadly North American culture, has a good number of proverbs, ones which probably come to mind to a number of you. A stitch in time, for example. If you're younger, in a younger generation, you've never seen a sewing machine, you might not know what this is all about. But a stitch in time, how does it complete? Saves 9. All right. And of course, what's cool about the Proverbs is it's not just talking about sewing. It's using one particular concrete, specific illustration to talk about lots of things in life. I often think about a stitch in time being, if I don't weed my front lawn enough, then boom, it becomes a huge problem. If I do it in time, it's a more manageable thing. Stitch in time saves 9. A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. The pen is mightier than the sword. And different strokes for different folks. A rolling stone. A rolling stone? That's a rock group in the UK, I think. All right, Canadian proverbs. Well, proverbs not only are a cultural phenomenon, they are also a family phenomenon. And one of the things about Proverbs that drives me to think about God's goodness is often the Proverbs that were imparted to us as kids. I grew up in a family of 4 boys, and my dad had certain Proverbs that he ran by us not infrequently. One is, you can't push a rope. You know, it was all about whatever you're working with, maximize its functionality. Don't get frustrated by what it's not intended to accomplish. You can't push a rope. He had this other one: water runs downhill. Okay, and I won't get into all the usages, but this one I think my mother used with me, as well as my father. A still tongue makes a wise head. And I think their young boy Billy needed to hear that on occasion. But this is the one I want to emphasize this morning. This is one that my father used: faster horses, younger women, and stronger whiskey. Now, you have to realize he told us that this this phrase or this expression came from some country song. I don't know what country song or if it did, but it became proverbial in our family for a way of talking about a mock of pursuing things that were false or that had an illusion of desire but weren't really the best way to organize your life around. And so faster horses, younger women, stronger whiskey. And so this was like a tongue-in-cheek proverb. And my dad would often emphasize the faster horses, the younger women, the pursuits in life which can take you down wrong roads, though they be very good things in and of themselves. And it was like he was whispering wisdom into our lives to say something like this: boys, for boys, be careful about what you pursue and how you pursue it. Boys, don't turn something that is even good. Don't turn something good into a god. Life is complicated. Life is complex, and it's full of tensions, polar tensions. And sometimes you need to find the balance. All right, now that's where we're going with the polar proverbs this morning and the wine, women, and wealth. This is really taking my dad's proverb, faster horses, younger women, and stronger whiskey, and rolling it into a discussion of that kind of thing, that mock on even that which is good within the Proverbs to find wisdom. All right, so polar proverbs. Here we go. Wine, wisdom, and wealth. And when we're into polar proverbs, no, we're not into the North Polar or the South Polar, but we could think of it that way because polar proverbs are accentuating opposites, okay, or tension, or we could say on the one hand, but on the other hand. And wisdom lies with wrestling between those tensions. We have polar proverbs within our own English context, within our culture. For example, there's one proverb that you might know, and it's the proverb, it's never too late to learn. So always be open to learning. What's the polar proverb? Well, the polar proverb, of course, is you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Doesn't work that well. Or, here's another polar proverb. On the one hand, look before you leap. All right, or haste makes waste. It's causing to be careful, to analyze, to think before you jump. All right. On the other hand, he who hesitates is lost. Don't think too long. Sometimes wisdom is finding the balance between these tensions in life. Good tensions. Here's another one that we use in our culture, and that is absence makes the heart grow fonder. Okay, this is Proverbs for lovers. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. What's the polar proverb? Yeah, okay, you got it. Absence makes the heart to wander, or out of sight, out of mind. Look out for the two opposite extremes, and wisdom is often identifying the extremes and understanding that skillful living requires navigating those extremes. So when we're talking about polar proverbs, one way I like to think about it is this: on the one hand, on the other hand, plus or minus. But another way is that old board game called Labyrinth. And my parents bought me one when I was young, and you turn the knobs on it, and you just have to find the right balance to get the marble through. and eventually I could do it like 50 times through. I had, the precision of balance. That took a long time to perfect. It was a great game. And that is something of what the Polar Proverbs is. Skillful living often means navigating the complex contours of this world, which are pulling us in different directions at times. All right, so we're going to take my dad's proverb, that go faster horses, younger women, stronger whiskey. We're going to roll that over into the biblical context and say, where does that come out with wisdom in the areas of wine, women, and wealth? Well, okay, let's talk about wine. Here is one of the general statements about wine. Honor the Lord with your wealth. Then your vats of wine, your vats will brim overflowing with new wine. Lots of great proverbs about wine that accentuate it in a very positive way. And of course, there were the sacrifices where wine was required to be brought to the temple with the sacrifices. There was the land where the huge volumes of grapes were the sign, or the showing the spies that, well, look at the land we're going to. And then the new covenant, of which we're part, one of the radical symbols of the new covenant is wine. Okay. For a variety of reasons. Okay. So it is in the good side of things. There's a very positive side to wine within Scripture. On the other hand, wisdom goes like this. Wine is a mocker. Wine is a mocker, and beer a brawler. Whoever is led astray from them is not wise, is not going to be skillful in living. So even things which are good, if we have them in excess and not in balance, it can be very destructive. Another one along that lines: do not join with those who drink too much wine, or gorge themselves on meat. Okay, I have to ask, just how big a steak does that qualify for gorging oneself on meat? And why is there not, a vegan version, gorging oneself on vegetables? All right. Do not join those who drink too much wine, who drink wine in a gluttonous way and can't figure out where they wake up in the morning. All right. Be careful. Even the good things in life require balance and careful consideration. It is working that little labyrinth thing to realize that we're into tensions in life. God has given us good things, but we never want to make those good things into a God. Wine, women, and wealth. All right. Well, women. Some of the Proverbs talk about women in this way, and particularly about sexuality and finding a wife. One particular proverb is very positive about this. He who finds a wife finds what is good and receives favor from the Lord. All right, you might have even heard that proverb cited at times. On the other hand, okay, let's look at some of the other proverbs. A quarrelsome wife is like drip, 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 and it's a Sunday morning, but it's dripping outside. It's pouring rain. Oh my goodness. A Sunday morning, a quarrelsome life is like a Sunday morning with constant dripping, drip, drip, drip on a rainy day. And, that kind of contradicts the other one. He who finds a wife finds what is good and receives favor from the Lord. And of course, wisdom is putting together the complex. It's a labyrinth. Okay, it's not straightforward and simple. Yes, that is generally true. but there are exceptions. So watch the balance. Watch and be careful and skillful in your choosing of a spouse. Another one is better to live in the corner of a housetop in 5 square feet than in a house of 5,000 square feet shared with a contentious wife. Or here's another one along the same venue. It is better to live in a desert land, stark with nothing, than with a contentious and vexing woman. Okay. Now, I have heard that some men, some research has been done to say that, and to raise evidence that some men are contentious and vexing. Apparently that's so. So probably we ought to take all of these proverbs and make them within an egalitarian society and have them both ways. Pick a spouse based upon character. So there are qualifications that often show the complexity of life. And then, of course, in the Proverbs, a very negative view of women is, to the nth degree, is seen in the lips of the adulteress or the prostitute. So the lips of the adulteress or the prostitute either or are finding sexuality but in the wrong places. It's a pseudo wife, if you will. And while the lips of the prostitute are sweet like honey, they can be very destructive, and the Proverbs show that. So that here, on one hand, we have this positive proverb about the one who finds a wife finds a good thing, receives favor from the Lord. But be careful. Be careful, guys, in choosing a gal. Be careful, gals, in choosing a guy. Because character is going to qualify that proverb a lot. And, of course, don't look in the wrong places for substitutes that really are going to be destructive. Wine, women, and wealth. All right. We live in a culture that is obsessed with pursuing wealth. And some of that has fed into these prosperity theology nonsense kind of things, much of which has come from reading the Proverbs as promises and not understanding the polar Proverbs. All right, so here is a positive statement about wealth. Hard work brings a profit. It brings wealth. It brings money. But mere talk leads only to poverty. And so the whole Christian work ethic has, and to a large degree, been fed by the Proverbs. Been very helpful looking at the Proverbs. Lots of positive Proverbs about wealth. Lazy hands make one poor, but diligent hands bring wealth. Okay. Work hard, you get something for it. Misfortune pursues the sinner. Now I have to just skip over here, but prosperity is the reward of the righteous. Every once in a while, I'm looking around my microphone here. Okay, COVID times. Misfortune pursues the sinner, but prosperity is the reward of the righteous. Lots of positive ones. On the other hand, wealth, be careful. Okay, it's good. It's from God. You work hard, and you will have some kind of monetary surplus. On the other hand, here is a counter proverb. Here is showing that life is complex. Better a little bit of money, but not wealth. Better a little bit of money with righteousness than much gain with injustice. Careful about how you acquire your wealth. Better to be poor than a liar. Maybe some of your wealth has been attributed to lies, to misleading people, to not putting together investment statements that are true. All right. Better a poor man whose walk is blameless than a rich man whose ways are perverse. That's a good one. Perversity, lying, injustice. Wealth is not the be-all, end-all. How you pursue wealth and your character is far more important. And then this one, I kind of struck out on this one when we were first married. I love this proverb. It's one that's stuck in our home. I'll tell you why in a sec. Do not wear yourself out to get rich. Have the wisdom to show restraint. So all these proverbs about pursuing wealth and that if you work hard, you will put things together economically, which again are generalizations. They're not promises. But then these counter proverbs say life is complicated. Don't wear yourself out trying to get rich, trying to pursue wealth, Marilyn and I were in the first few weeks of our marriage in a wonderful time of marital bliss, and we were back. We'd finished our honeymoon. We were back. We're living out of a basement suite that someone had given us for the summer, and we were in Edmonton, Alberta, and I was working 2 jobs. We were trying to save up over the summer to go to school in the fall. And Marilyn was working, and at dinner we were discussing, I got this opportunity to do contracts on the weekend. It would take just about every day working. Probably all hours. And she said, I don't think this is a good idea, Bill. Where are we going to have some fun? Where are we going to do some things together that are enjoyable, that are not work? And this is one of my problems in our home. I've always been a workaholic. I don't know the difference between work and play, and work is play to me. Marilyn bumped into that in the very early weeks of our marriage, as well as later in our marriage. And it was a conflict, and not a good one. That was kind of our first tiff in our home. Well, we turned to our devotions, and we'd been reading through the Psalms and Proverbs. We'd pick a psalm, and then we'd pick a proverb. We just kept going psalm, proverb, or a section of Proverbs. And in the section of Proverbs, after having this contestant about should I take on another third job, summer job, and get, everything be focused on work and money, or should we leave some time, margin of time, for other things? And I had not given up on my 3-job pursuit. But here, the section of Proverbs that we read bumped into this one, Proverbs 23:4. Do not wear yourself out with 3 jobs trying to get money. Okay, it doesn't quite say that, but that's sure how Marilyn understood it. And I must admit, I chuckled, and we talked about it. Don't wear yourself out. It says wisdom, skillful living is showing restraint. So even with these great good things that we can pursue in life, if we pursue it with the rigor where we wear ourselves out, where we don't show restraint, where life is often playing that labyrinth board and finding a balance. That's wisdom. Wine, women, and wealth. One of my favorite proverbs about wealth is actually a balanced Proverbs, Proverbs 30, verses 8 and 9. Give me neither poverty nor riches, otherwise, on the one hand, I may have too much and disown you, Lord. Or, on the other hand, I could become poor and steal. So the polar Proverbs, giving us wisdom, helping us navigate through life. Whether we are in a particular culture, whether we're in a family setting, and I just want to honor my dad and mom for instilling a good number of proverbs into their sons. It was a proverbial mock, making fun of wisdom, worldly wisdom. Faster horses, younger women, stronger whiskey. Watch out what you pursue, boys. Don't make even the good things in life into a god. And show some restraint, show some balance. Wisdom is often finding balance. Blessings. Great to see you, Highview, even if it's at a COVIDian distance. Hugs from Bill and Meryl.